Would you take family planning advice from Donald Duck? Well, that's certainly the method that was being approached in 1967. That being said, Donald Duck isn't actually giving the family planning advice. Our wonderful narrator is, and this is actually a pretty detailed short with a lot of really good information that's very clearly explained by Paul Frees, our narrator. I will say it's a product of its time. I will talk about the female character in a moment and how kind of outraged I am at the treatment of her. But generally speaking, the information that is given is, something that I think nowadays people are very well aware of. But this short, directed by Les Clark, is basically saying you don't have to just have child after child after child. There are steps that you can take that mean you can have as many children as you can afford and as many children as you want. You don't have to have a big family. And there's a line in this quite towards the end, actually, and I'm this isn't verbatim, I can't remember it exactly, but it's something like, a good man isn't measured by how many children he has, but how well he looks after them, or something along those lines. And I thought that that was lovely. I thought, beautiful. It doesn't matter how many times you get your wife pregnant. That's not a sign of a good man. It's how well you look after those children. I just thought it was absolutely beautiful. So the messages are actually really good in this, and it's very clearly explained with diagrams, and there's one bit where it was like, well, if you have more children, you'll have to give them only small patches of your land rather than giving large patches of land to fewer children. And I thought, well, you could just give it to your favourite, but thankfully it wasn't that one-sided. But to be honest, not really sure why Donald Duck was there. Donald Duck was being told this information, but we actually have these characters, this man and a woman, to whom the narrator is kind of mostly addressing this information, and they're used as examples when we see them with 2 children or 3 children and they're a happy family. Suddenly they have 4 more children, they can't afford to feed them, everything is going wrong. And then the narrator tells us that actually you can go to a family planning clinic and they will explain ways that you can stop having so many children. And it doesn't go into details, so it's still kind of child friendly, but I'm not 100% sure who the target audience is. I don't know where this aired. I know it was 1967, but I don't know when, or where this was shown and how people would have seen it. But obviously it's aimed at adults, but it's child friendly, which is ironic because it's trying to tell people to not have so many children, which I think is a fantastic message, where people can't afford to have children and then they keep having children despite that, and then expecting the government or other countries to pay for it. Very educational, and people should listen to this. The only thing I did not like, but I accept that it's a product of its time, is that the woman kept whispering things in her husband's ear, and then the husband would ask the narrator these questions. Why couldn't the woman just ask these questions herself? You could argue that maybe she was just a shy individual and that this is not representative of the attitudes towards all women at the time. But you might be pushing it a little bit. Not really sure why she couldn't have just asked those questions herself. I mean, I say it was a product of its time. It was the 60s. Women by that point were working in Disney in high up positions and were flourishing. So it's not like Disney as a production company had a negative outlook towards the role of women. So I don't really know. But aside from that, really enjoyed it. Donald was a lot calmer in this than usual. He's usually quite frantic and aggressive. It's not the case here. He's listening, he's learning, so are the family. If you know where it first aired or how audiences were shown it, I assume it was just like on television at some point. But again, would the target audience have paid attention if a Donald Duck cartoon came on? I don't know. It's a bit weird, the target audience and, how it's delivered. But the message is, the script is very good. It's very clearly explained with illustrative images, and I really like it. I thought it was weird that it was Donald Duck explaining family planning or being involved in a short about family planning, but actually, having seen it, it's not that bad at all.